Hi everyone, this is Amy. Welcome to my channel. I don't know about you, but I have a love-hate relationship with 6.0 scoring. On one hand, it's nice that the judges are not restricted to scoring each element. On the other hand, there's no transparency. We never get to see the actual judges' score sheets. You're often left wondering, I got what place? I have a skater that actually said to me,
"Why do the judges hate me?"
after one of her competitions where she placed 4th out of 5. Yet in the next competition, she placed 2nd out of 4. She was so happy. It would have been nice to know why. If you or your skater competes at levels lower than juvenile, how often have you said, I wish this had been scored with IJS? IJS shows you exactly why you placed as you did. It provides a measurable number associated with each required element, as well as the program components. IJS can tell you exactly why you placed, where you did. Be careful what you wish for, because a competition recently did use IJS for the lower levels. They even used IJS with Excel Beginner and Excel High Beginner. This competition happened after the new rules went into effect in July. So this information is completely current and applicable to you right now. One of my viewers sent me the link to the protocols, which I am so thankful for. They're right here. I'm so excited about this. I've studied thousands of 6.0 score sheets and IJS protocols. I analyze skaters' competition videos and I keep up with all the rules. This is honestly a great opportunity so that you can see how these levels are scored with IJS. I'm going to know that I did my job right when you leave me comments telling me that this video opened your eyes to how thinking in terms of IJS has helped you to better understand 6.0. I want you to get it so crystal clear that you can't unlearn it. This video costs you nothing to watch. Pretend that you paid me to explain this to you. It can be worth far more than the time that it takes you to watch it. These protocols can really help skaters, parents, and even coaches better understand how the judges are scoring, even if you're not competing with IJS. But how will what we're talking about today help you with 6.0? Before I get into it, it's essential to know where I'm coming from on this. I am a PSA ranked and rated coach. I'm also an ISI certified gold judge. My interest is from a coaching standpoint. As a coach, I'm responsible for knowing the rules of the sport so that I can apply them when working with my skaters. These rules may be interpreted differently. This is only my understanding of how the rules are applied. All that said, I think this just might blow your mind. Well, at least some of your minds. I'm gonna move quickly through this, as quick as I possibly can. There's a lot to go over, so please rewatch this video at least once to make sure you got all of it. Share it with somebody else so that they'll understand it too. Are you ready? Let's dive in. The judges at these levels are often so fluent in IJS that they may be placing you using similar criteria, even with 6.0. Let's start off with Excel Beginner. Let's look at a protocol so that you can be more aware of what you're looking at. I'm not going to go through all of them in this level of detail. We need to at least look at one. At the bottom, you have your list of judges. If you're used to 6.0, you may be used to seeing 3 to 5 judges and a referee. But here you'll notice there's also a technical controller and 2 technical specialists. The technical specialist used to be called technical specialist and assistant technical specialist. They're really equal positions, so beginning on July 1st, they began to number them 1 and 2. This is your technical panel that makes the call on what you executed in your program. Then the judges will give you a grade of execution, or GOE, on each element, as well as your program components. I'm not going to go into too much detail in this video. I've done that in other videos. I actually have a whole video on the technical panel. When you're done watching this video, go and watch that one. There's a link to it in the description down below. Anyway, here are the final placements for this group of skaters. If this were 6.0 scoring, this would be your ordinals. What's really nice about this competition for Excel Beginner is that they kept the groups to only 4 skaters by splitting the level into 2 flights. This way, each skater gets a spot on the podium. I wish that more competitions would do that, as it really helps to encourage beginning skaters. You'll notice there's also a score over here. These scores in this group range from 13.46 to 12.15, a 1.31 difference from first place to fourth place. In the other group, the scores range from 13.25 to 11.08, a 2.71 difference from first place to fourth place. These are not really significant differences at Excel Beginner. beginner. You can really see here how each point counts. If you expand the pluses, you can see each skater's elements and the scores for each one. This is super helpful. We can see precisely what each skater's program contained as it was called by the technical panel. We can also see each skater's individual protocol by clicking here. Let's look at the skater that placed first. CHST1 is the choreographic step sequence. This is the athlete's first element. They received a positive GOE of 0.33. That is added to the base value of the level 1 choreo step sequence to get 2.33. The next element is a single toe loop. This athlete received the base value of 0.40. Then there's a jump combo, single Salchow plus single toe loop. Again, the base value of 0.80 was awarded. Next is a waltz jump toe loop combo, but this skater has already used the toe loop twice before, so there's an asterisk that receives no value. The points awarded are for a waltz jump only. That's a bit extra effort for no reward. So make sure you and your coach understand the program requirements. As a general rule, US figure skating and always in IJS, you cannot repeat the same jump more than twice. ISI competitions are a bit different. So if you're competing in ISI, you are permitted to repeat elements up to 3 times with the best attempt counted, but not in US figure skating or IJS, unfortunately. The next element was an upright spin, which is the only spin permitted at Excel Beginner. While one judge awarded a positive GOE, the skater only received a base value for this element. Next is a single Salchow. 2 judges awarded a positive GOE, so the skater received 0.41, 1/10 of a point above its base value. The final element that the skater executed was another upright spin, as 2 are permitted at this level. They received a positive GOE from 3 judges, so their score was 1.07. Then when we get to the bottom, we can see the program components. Composition, the skater received 1.50. Presentation, the skater received 2.17. For skating skills, they received 1.75. For a total factored component score of 7.14, there were no deductions. So this skater had a total segment score of 13.46. Now let's look at these scores in a spreadsheet. I know, I'm a total geek. For the choreographic step sequence, the points ranged from a base value of 2 up to 2.33. In fact, 2 skaters received that score for their choreo step. Next, let's look at the single toe loop. The base value is 0.40. 3 skaters performed it. 2 of them received the base value. The other skater received 0.36. Now the waltz jump toe loop combination. The base value is 0.70. 6 skaters performed it. Unfortunately, one of the skaters repeated the toe loop too many times and only received credit for a positive grade of execution on a single waltz jump, 0.31. 3 other skaters received positive GOEs and were awarded 0.71 points. The other skater received less than the base value of 0.67. Know your program requirements and the repeat rules. For the first of the 2 upright spins performed, skaters received the base value or better. The highest score was 1.07. 7 skaters performed a single Salchow. All but one of them received the base value or better. 2 skaters received 0.43 points. From the protocol, it appears that one of the skaters fell on this element, so the negative GOE lowered her score to 0.28 points. She also received a deduction for the fall, and I would guess that her component score also suffered as a result of that fall. Now we have the second upright spin. 2 upright spins are required elements in Excel Beginner. On this element, the highest score was 1.07 and the lowest score was 0.97. All skaters also performed a single Salchow plus a toe loop combination. This has a base value of 0.80. All except 2 skaters received base value or better on this element. 2 skaters received the highest score of 0.83. The 2 skaters that received lower than the base value got 0.77 and 0.79. One skater performed this combination twice, which is not permitted. They were given a partial credit of 0.28. This skater could have placed another single jump in its place and received more points that way. Once again, be careful of repeating things. Know your program requirements and the repeat rules. 4 skaters performed a single waltz jump. 2 of them received positive GOEs, resulting in 0.32 points, and 2 received the base value of 0.30. Now, 1 skater attempted a half Lutz. While a half Lutz is permitted at this level, it's a daring move. I give that skater a lot of credit for trying it. The Lutz takes off from the backward outside edge. The flip takes off from the backward inside edge. You use the opposite foot toe pick with both jumps and land on that opposite leg. But as you take off and land on the same edge for the Lutz, it means that you're counter-rotating. That makes it a lot more challenging. There was an edge call, which is actually a pretty common error on the Lutz. So the skater only received partial credit of 0.24. 1 skater performed a waltz-waltz sequence and received a positive GOE that earned her 0.62 points. That was a really good move for her. Let's look at the total element scores, or TES. If these skaters were all in the same flight and the placements were determined solely by the scores of their technical elements, the skater that placed second in the B group would have come in first, followed by the skater that came in first in the B group. The skater that came in second in the A group came in third, and the skater that came in first in the A group came in fourth place. What does this tell us about the component scores? They carry a lot of weight. Let's look at them. The skater that came in first in the A group garnered the highest total component scores, or PCS, 7.14. Skating skills are weighted the highest at this level, with composition and presentation weighted at 0.80, respectively. Skating skills are your most critical component. The skater that came in first did so because the judges felt her components were stronger than the other skaters by quite a bit. So work on those skating skills and your presentation and composition. I'm not going to go into it too heavily in this video. I have an entire video dedicated to the changes to the component scores. There's a link to the other video in the description down below. You can watch that after you've watched this video. Now, let's take a look at Excel High Beginner. What's interesting here is that the skater that placed first had a time violation of 0.50. That made the margin between the first and second place very small. That's a shame and could have cost her a spot on the podium. I mean, it didn't, but it could have. So again, make sure that you know your program requirements and that you're following all the rules so that your program fits in to the maximum time permitted. You do not want to receive a deduction for going over the maximum time allowed. What is also interesting here, the score for Excel High Beginner ranges from 13.09 to 8.86. So the scores for the higher level were actually lower. And they have an additional jump element permitted, as well as sit spins, camels, and back spins too. This actually surprised me a lot. Let's figure out why that is. All the competitors had 8 elements, except for 1. The skater that came in 6th left out the choreographic step sequence. That has a base value of 2 points. That's a costly error. The requirements for the choreo sequences at this level are that you must use 1/2 of the ice surface. Moves in the field and spiral sequences are permitted, but are not counted as elements. Jumps may be included in the step sequence. The Excel Technical Handbook says, if a choreographic step sequence meets the requirements, it will be confirmed. It will receive no value if it does not meet the requirements. But it looks like the skater didn't even submit this on her planned program content sheet. When competing in IJS, you must submit all your planned program elements. If this skater did not include the choreo step sequence in her planned program content sheet, it wouldn't appear on her protocol. But if she didn't submit it and she did it anyway, it would have appeared on her protocol. The technical panel would have recognized it and added it on. Having not seen this program, I don't know. I'm basing this on the rules and looking at the protocol. So again, know your program requirements so that you're not leaving any points on the table. And fill out those planned program content sheets to include all your required elements so that the tech panel looks out for them. All the rest of the competitors did perform a choreo step sequence. The scores were base value or higher, in line with Excel beginner scores for this element. 2 skaters performed a single toe loop, and the scores were in line with the Excel beginner marks. 2 skaters also performed a waltz plus toe sequence, and again, the scores were in line with Excel beginner. This is interesting. Even those skaters at this level can perform 2 spins, including sit and camel spins. 5 skaters performed upright spins in their programs. They could have been back spins. There's no real way to tell that from the protocol. I'm guessing they may have been because the scores were lower than the Excel beginner scores for upright spins. Three skaters performed a single salchow, and all 3 received only the base value for that element. Now, 1 skater, and only 1 skater, performed an upright spin as their second spin. This happens to be the same skater that did not include the choreo step. The others all chose a sit spin, and 1 chose a camel spin. This left significant points on the table for this skater. So again, read those program requirements and make sure that you do the math to get as many technical points as possible. The same skater was also the only skater in Excel High Beginner at this competition to attempt a half Lutz. And again, there was an edge call. This is so common and unfortunate. It just leaves points on the table. If you find the Lutz challenging because of the edge required, work with your coach to choose another jump that may be less of a challenge for you, or work on that Lutz. 1 skater performed a salchow toe loop combination and received the base value. That's in line with Excel beginner scores for that element. 3 skaters performed a single waltz jump, receiving a base value or higher. This lines up with the element scores for Excel beginner. 5 skaters performed a sit spin. This element has a base value of 1.10. The highest points were awarded to the skater that placed third. She received 2.22 points for that element. That's pretty amazing. I would love to have seen that sit spin. It is so difficult to get a positive grade of execution that high on a sit spin at Excel High Beginner because it must be a recognizable attempt. There is a little more leeway at the lower levels, but to get a positive GOE, you really need it to fit into those IJS requirements. So bravo! 1 skater that came in first performed a camel with a base value of 1.10. She received 1.06 points. 1 skater executed a salchow toe loop and waltz jump sequence, which received 1.13 points, which is higher than the base value of 1.10. That's the skater that placed first, by the way. 3 skaters attempted a loop toe loop combination. 1 of them repeated it twice, which is not permitted. So she only received partial credit for the second attempt. It's that same skater again. I really don't want to make an example out of this skater. This is so unfortunate. I sincerely hope this skater learns from this experience, and her coach too, so they can correct these mistakes for the next competition. Of the other 2 skaters, 1 received the base value of 0.90, and the other slightly below the base value of 0.88. All skaters attempted a loop jump with a base value of 0.50. 2 received the base value. 1 was 0.42, another was 0.47, and there was 1 that seemed to perform a flip instead of a loop with a negative grade of execution and received half credit. The other skater was downgraded and did not receive any value. 1 skater performed a salchow loop combination and received a base value. 2 skaters performed a waltz jump loop toe loop sequence with a base value of 1.30. They were awarded 1.28 and 1.18 points. The skater that performed a salchow waltz jump sequence received a base value of 0.70. 2 half flips received a base value of 0.3. 4 of the 6 skaters' technical element scores were higher than those of Excel Beginner. 1 of them was in line with the beginner scores, and 1 of them was significantly lower. Had that skater included her choreo step sequence, not repeated the loop toe loop combination, and either performed her planned loop or a well-executed flip, her technical score could have been very good. This is so unfortunate. I really feel for this skater. Let's look at the components. As you move up in levels, the judges expect your components to be better than those at the lower levels. Remember, your skating skills carry the most weight, so that's your most critical mark. Most of the Excel beginner skaters outperformed the Excel high beginner skaters in their components, at least according to the protocols. If we look at the total segment scores, the skater that came in first in Excel high beginner had a total score 1 point above the third place skater in Excel beginner. If these skaters were all at the same level, that skater that placed first in high beginner would have come in third place. The skater that placed second in high beginner had only 5 fewer points than the first place skater in high beginner. I could go on down the line. The point is that what I've given you in this video should be actionable for you and for your skating. I'm really hoping that you're not just watching this thinking, that's interesting. No, I want you to do something because of what you've learned here. What I've given you is which elements provide you with the most points and how the judges score these elements in IJS. Not only that, I've shown you visually how these points add up across 3 groups of skaters at 2 totally different levels. I wanted you to see why they placed the way they did. Start doing that IJS math, even if you're being judged at 6.0. Figure out what elements will get you the most points. Work on the execution of those elements with your PSA ranked and rated coach. And work on your components, especially those skating skills. Those components carry a lot of weight and can mean the difference between one place and another place. I have other videos about 6.0 scoring. If you've missed those videos, go and watch them right now. They're right here. I also have other videos on IJS, and you can watch those right here. This is Amy. Thank you for watching. Happy skating. I will see you real soon. Bye.